I'm Karina Robinson at the Global Female Leaders Summit, and we're here with Vuyiswa M'Cwabeni, who's the Chief Product Strategist at SAP, and has just given a fascinating keynote speech on the 5 key technology trends in the world today. Vuyi, would you tell us a bit about what those 5 key technology trends are?
So when I looked at it, I really spoke from a personal perspective. I think when you look at the trends, I gave 5, that being artificial intelligence, and then looking very much on autonomous things that builds on this artificial intelligence. Then the third trend being blockchain is it's also about, enabling trust, which is extremely important when you think about these new trust models and enabling engagement between these autonomous things. And then the fourth one is actually then the world of multi-cloud, because all of those technologies that I talked about is actually dependent on this cloud technology and the new way that we actually write, the way we update and we deploy software. And then the last one, which is not a technology trend per se, but it's a unification approach. And that really is about the experience, how you and me can actually leverage the technology. It's about no more being about mobile, augmented reality, bricks. It's more about being a seamless, integrated user experience and that coming all together. What I want to say is there can be so many more. There's so many more buzzwords that I could put out there. Quantum computing, Internet of Things, cybersecurity, and the list goes on. But still, I think it all comes down to looking at this technology and how we as business leaders can then leverage it within our businesses.
Let me bring you up a bit on that point, which is so often technology projects, a lot of money, waste of time. How can you make sure that customers, the corporates generally, actually realize value out of some of the technology trends?
Yeah, it's interesting that you talk about a lot of money. There's a recent study that said that there's up to 1.2 trillion has been actually spent on these digital transformation projects, and almost 800 billion was just a waste, which is unfortunate, right? And it's now about how do we, as corporates, as business leaders, we first have to look at, regardless of technology, it's about putting the customer, it's about putting the user at the center. Then I think the second step in it needs to be the what. What is the problem that you're trying to solve? You look at questions like AI, you have to be very clear. What can AI do and what can it not do, right? And then taking that technology, because it's a technology, but technology is not a means to an end. It's just an enabler, right? And then understanding there's this what. Now, how do I apply that to create that true value for the customer?
Innovation, everybody wants to be an innovator, every company wants to be innovative. What would you say are the lessons on how you can best become and remain an innovative company?
It's so much easier said than done. Yeah. But it's a question of how you remain, and I think it's how you remain at the top. And I think the first thing is let's start at the top. And it's about a mindset that needs to be created by the leaders, the CEO, the boards, who are driving that into the organization. That's why I get very upset when I look at many of these innovation projects. They're about some sort of, on an island somewhere. They're looking at these innovations. It's like these wizards that do something to create the money that falls from the sky. That's not how it should be. We need to look at innovation and how you can bring it into your core business processes, and then how you can apply it, whether to create new products, services, or how you can even start to disrupt your own business. And so this comes from the top. On the CEO agenda, the boards, they need to create that space and room and bring it into the core itself. But then there's also the element at the bottom, right? So it's the top and the bottom. And what can you foster in that entrepreneurial mindset within your organization? How do you provide that freedom? And there's many ways that you can do that. with specific programs that focus on that, training, development, but it's how can you bring to create something new and balanced within the companies.
The last question for you has really got to be about the role of gender in this, because we had a rather fascinating think tank, and it was about cybersecurity. And the head of a cybersecurity company who'd come from the former Yugoslavia, she said it was a shock when she came to the West, and all of a sudden, something like cybersecurity, there were virtually no women, while in Central and Eastern Europe, going back, there were loads of women. There were more women than men. So do we need to do something differently?
Net, yes. We do. And I think when we look at it, it's very interesting when you say that in Yugoslavia, but you look at other countries, whether the Scandinavian countries, who tend to have more equality, right? Or tend to be, let's say, equality, but they tend to be more inclusive. They're then able to draw on the complete merits of their society. Women represent 50% of the society. And there's no reason why they should not be then making that contribution to the sciences. I think this was one of the speakers mentioned today, was, even if we want to find these women and recruit women, there's only 20% women in these data science programs that are coming from an engineer. So I always say, there's one element that comes from what actually is happening within the companies. But we actually have to look at societies. What's happening in education? Right? Is that where we're losing these women? Is it happening at the university and college level? Or is it something in between? I have a daughter, and she's 6 years old. And how do we ensure that she has every equal opportunity to her brother, who's 8? Right? So I think the challenge or the solution is multifold. We have to look at the businesses, and the businesses need to make every opportunity for both diversity but inclusion. That is the ultimate success. You have to look at the political, social, and economic. And this is where governments, academia can all come together to support this push for women to have an equal seat at the table.
Thank you very much. Here we are at the Global Female Leaders Summit with Vuyiswa M'Cwabeni, who's the head of product innovation at SAP. Thank you.